November 24th, 1971. A man in a dark suit and tie buys a one-way cash ticket for a routine flight, Portland to Seattle. Within hours, he hijacks the plane, collects $200,000 in ransom, and leaps from the rear stairs of a Boeing 727 into the night. No body, no identity. America's only unsolved hijacking. And after more than 50 years, no one can prove whether D.B. Cooper survived the jump. At the counter in Portland, the man called himself Dan Cooper. He handed the ticket agent a single $20 bill for the short flight north. To those who saw him board, he was just another businessman traveling on Thanksgiving Eve. He wore a black, lightweight raincoat over a suit, a white shirt, and a black clip-on tie with a mother-of-pearl pin. Nothing in his quiet demeanor drew attention. He took his seat, 18E, and ordered a bourbon and water. The name on his ticket would soon be broadcast to the world, but not as he wrote it. A wire service reporter scrambling to cover the breaking hijacking misheard the alias. In the rush to print, Dan Cooper became D.B. Cooper. The press ran with the error, instantly cementing a fictional name into the public record before the aircraft even landed. Shortly after takeoff, Cooper handed a folded note to flight attendant Florence Schaffner. Assuming it was a phone number from a passenger, she slipped it unread into her purse. Cooper leaned close, telling her to read the note, and declared he had a bomb. Schaffner retrieved the paper and read the neat, handwritten demands. $200,000 in unmarked $20 bills, 4 parachutes, and a fuel truck standing by in Seattle. To prove his threat, Cooper opened his briefcase, revealing red cylinders, a battery, and tangled wire. Schaffner took the demands directly to the cockpit. Captain Harold Mickens immediately contacted Northwest Orient Flight operations to relay the terms. The cockpit crew treated the threat as entirely credible. On the ground, federal agents scrambled, transforming the flight into an active, high-stakes national emergency. At 5:39 p.m., Flight 305 touched down at Seattle-Tacoma International Airport. The airliner taxied to a dimly lit runway where Northwest Orient officials met Cooper's demands. They delivered 10,000 unmarked $20 bills and 4 parachutes. In exchange, Cooper released all 36 passengers, who walked down the stairs onto the tarmac. But compliance did not end the crisis, it only isolated the remaining crew. Cooper ordered the plane refueled for a flight path south toward Mexico City. He demanded the aircraft fly low, with the landing gear down and the cabin unpressurized. With only the cockpit crew and flight attendants left on board, the Boeing 727 took off again, climbing back into the cold Pacific Northwest rain. The pilots followed Cooper's strict flight instructions. They leveled the Boeing 727 at 10,000 feet, maintaining a minimum safe speed of 110 knots. The landing gear remained down, the flaps were set to 15 degrees, and the cabin was left unpressurized. Inside, the temperature plummeted below freezing. At 8 p.m., a warning light flared in the cockpit. The rear ventral air stair, a mechanical feature unique to the 727, had been lowered. Cold winds sheared past the open steps at over 100 miles per hour. Somewhere over the dense, rugged forests of southwestern Washington, Cooper stepped out onto the stairs. With the ransom money strapped to his body and 2 parachutes, he leapt into the freezing rain and the pitch-black night. He was never seen again. Search teams combed the wilderness, but no parachute, no harness, and no landing trace were ever found. The jump was complete, leaving behind only an empty aircraft and a silent force. The FBI officially codenamed the investigation NORJAK, short for Northwest Hijacking, and immediately initiated what would become one of the most extensive and frustrating manhunts in American history. Hundreds of federal agents converged on the Pacific Northwest, establishing command posts to coordinate a massive ground and aerial search. To systematically cover the rugged, densely forested wilderness of Clark and Cowlitz counties in southwestern Washington, the government mobilized 200 soldiers from Fort Lewis, alongside National Guard troops and local civilian volunteers. Ground teams pushed through thick brush and steep terrain under relentless winter weather, deploying tracking dogs through the undergrowth and conducting intensive 18-day sweeps in March and April of 1972. Despite the sheer scale of the physical deployment, which even included a marine salvage submarine, searching the 200-foot depths of Lake Merwin, the environment proved to be an insurmountable barrier. The searchers uncovered nothing, no trace of the military-style Pioneer parachutes, no scraps of the black business suit, and no sign of the ransom money appeared in the wilderness. The massive mobilization of personnel and technology produced only a vast silence, leaving investigators with empty hands and a growing realization of the absolute limits of their physical search. On February 10, 1980, 8-year-old Brian Ingram was clearing sand for a campfire on Tina Bar, a beach along the Columbia River near Vancouver, Washington. He uncovered 3 waterlogged, deteriorated packets of $20 bills totaling $5,880. FBI technicians matched the serial numbers to the master ransom list. They were Cooper's bills. The discovery proved a portion of the ransom entered the river, but it did not identify the hijacker or confirm whether he survived. Rather than closing the file, the physical evidence only left more questions. The FBI evaluated more than 1,000 potential suspects, yet every lead eventually stalled against a lack of definitive proof. Richard McCoy Jr. drew intense scrutiny after executing a nearly identical skyjacking and parachute escape just 5 months later, but eyewitnesses from Flight 305 failed to identify him, and the FBI formally ruled him out in 1974. Kenneth Christiansen, a former Northwest Orient Flight purser and paratrooper, became a suspect due to his aviation background, but his physical characteristics did not match the witness descriptions, and no forensic link was ever found. The black J.C. Penney clip-on tie Cooper left in his seat remains one of the few pieces of direct physical evidence. Investigators extracted a partial DNA profile and isolated microscopic metal particles from the fabric, but neither has ever produced a match. On July 12, 2016, 45 years after the hijacking, the FBI suspended its active investigation. The Bureau redirected its resources to other cases, bringing a quiet end to Operation NORJAK. Although the active file is shelved, physical evidence remains preserved for future review. While independent researchers and citizen scientists continue to chase new leads, no suspect has ever been definitively identified. Decades later, the escape remains the only unsolved commercial aircraft hijacking in American aviation history. The legacy of the hijacking resides in concrete changes to how the world travels. In June 1972, the Federal Aviation Administration ordered airlines to install an aerodynamic latch on Boeing 727 passenger jets. This spring-loaded paddle, commonly known as the Cooper vane, automatically locks the rear stairs in place during flight. The agency also introduced walk-through metal detectors and flagged cash-paying passengers at airport counters. While these security reforms hardened aviation, they also locked Cooper's story in time. Over 50 years later, the identity remains unproven, turning a cold case file into an enduring American folk legend. The official case is closed, but the force keeps it secret. Cooper's escape remains the ultimate phantom, a ghost in the machinery of modern aviation. Perhaps some mysteries are never meant to be solved. Share your theory in the comments below.